Welcome to the video, the Boricua record, part 4. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is Abaquetonay Boricua. Enjoy. 16 years pass, and now I am 33 years of age. I'm voted as the king of my new tribe in the north. Cuba gave me 20 babies. She had 21 nonetheless, being her first one from Ken. He was a big boy, Cuba's first son. He grew as big as Ken. His name was Uri. At first, Uri was a handful. Very strong he was. Soon enough, he would begin to adapt to our lifestyle and became a loyal warrior. We have been in war for the past 16 years against the peoples of Ken, which I found out Ken is commanded by the Assyrian army, against the peoples of the land of Magog, and the new mystery king that arose and took over Ken's village in Balkai. I was told that warriors of Magog and those of the Assyrians challenged the mystery king every day for 3 weeks, and none could dethrone him. Apart from the many battles we had against them, our spies informed me that acts of sabotage against my people were now being done by this new mystery king that I haven't identified yet. Ken's camp was called Balkai by Ken's men. My spies also informed me that a new nation formed by the mountains, a point west where our tribes reached. They told me it was lifted by a ruthless queen. Our society called it Altai. These two mystery kings acquired many horses and rode them like none before, matching those of Ken's men. However, whoever it is, the people of Magog, the Assyrian warriors, the mystery king of Balkai, and the new queen of Altai, or whatever threat came our way, I wasn't gonna lose one more loved one. Many of the battles that took place arose when Ken and I fought over the hunting grounds. The union of Magog and Ken's people decimated much of the megafauna. And now, not only would we have to worry about a food shortage, but in pursuit of our bestest nutrition would also mean a possible encounter with my enemy. Our spies saw the last megafauna roaming around the kingdom of Balkai. The only healthy population of megafauna was reduced to my land in the northeast that was now called Siberia by the union of my enemy, and Hibaro between ourselves. The biggest reason we could never get infiltrated was because there were not any better archers in the world than that of my own. My region was the coldest, where we managed to base ourselves in a series of caves that little were known of them because they couldn't go past my unbreakable soldier perimeter, the fiercest and most disciplined archers to ever walk in our land. I searched for my tribe's history. I was still missing the beginning. Other things kept me distracted. These recent battles the last decade were obviously because now they were beginning to get too close to our hunting grounds. The megafauna by Balkai were mobilizing little by little northeast into somewhere. Some saw them traveling past the glaciers up naturally carved pathways. Considering most of this was not easily traversable, the medic hands me some of Petro's Ephrael belongings he wanted me to have. She also told me that he kept saying we should leave to a place far away from the land of Hibero, and nowhere west. We have to move eastwards. He said if we move west or stay, we die. Until the time they come for us again in 3 millennia. This sure startled me. But the old man was right. The enemy kept multiplying, and now they've invaded our sacred hunting grounds. In time, they may breach our defenses. Their numbers were becoming overwhelming, versus us at just over 1,000. We were a balanced people that knew when to hunt and how to store food with the aid of the freezing temperatures. My main desire was to attack my enemies, especially for the unbalance in nature they have created. But like I said, they united into the strongest army in the world, and it was time I was wiser. There was a small window of flexibility now, where I was able to see others flee from our region without persecution. But some didn't go that far, and were able to create small communities. This happened during the same time that the Mystery King admitted the sabotage of Siberia. Some were reduced to stay in coasts and water holes where they may be able to fish. Some say even some groups of my tribe went all the way south and found how to live off Mother Earth. and not hunting like us. This is how some of us divided into the land. This happened together with our migrations of US's people that we call the Shin. Jesus' cousin, another tall son of Ken named Shandong, moved many miles south of us. And Jesus' young brother Liao moved even more south of that with peoples from the family of Ophir related to my tribes. One of my younger brothers, Buriat, met a tribe of people south of Balkai and mixed with the family of Hazar Mabeth, and then with those of Hobab. Their best warrior was a horseman named Hasara. He raised two other animals from birth apart from his horses, his dog Bankar and a baby golden eagle. He held these three animals with his life, and they did the same for him. Nobody could ever get close to Hasara. An older step-cousin of ours, descendant of Ken named Jenisei, went to a river mouth up here to the west and had a family with half Shin, half Hibaro. We're still connected to them through my spies, and he was too raised as a great warrior amongst Ken's old camp. Over there, he is who is in charge. Between Balkai and us, I had a camp of warriors from the start. I placed Nanai as their leader who would respond to my every order. Their loyalty is to be an extension of us. And last, the land of Magog to the west, that was rising and consuming all others together with the Assyrians to the near southwest. As we finish a fishing expedition trying to steer clear of our own hunting grounds, we head back to our camp. We found our warrior Sai was missing. Our sources assured he was taken by Kansas men. Whatever happened, they were going to pay. The message left by them was that the Mystery King wanted to meet me and fight me. Oh, but that he will. That night I rested good. I leave at dawn with my horse and change it and refuel at Nanai's camp, a very strategic location and hard to overthrow from geographical advantages. When I get there, I enter what used to be Kansas camp at Balkai. I'm greeted by Sai himself, making me so confused as he tells me everything is okay. I thought he could have been dead, or possibly being tortured. Sai told me he didn't want to leave Balkai, that he was having such a great time, and wants me to meet the king. From shadows casted on curtains, I can see three enormous men walking towards me. As they reach the entrance, I can see them clearly. The one on the left resembled a very tall Shin. He's the one we saw leading the horsemen who sabotaged us recently. The one on the right was a very tall boy that looked a bit like my brother, but he definitely resembled the Shin as well. The one in the center, the tallest of them all, was my brother, Toro. We greet, and he says,
"Brother, don't you recognize me even when I'm sabotaging your lands? It was me, your younger brother, Toro. Don't you worry, I'm not going to fight you. Father and I realized your abilities that day you took Cuba. Even as powerful as I am right now, having defeating hundreds of the best and becoming the king of Balkai, I cannot defeat you as you are, the king of the Siberians. You truly are the best warrior. But that is not why I brought you here."
I ask him, why? Why did you kidnap Sai to bring me here? Toro says,
"I freed your people. The ones that agreed are all here in Balkai."
I couldn't believe it. It was too good to be true. Sai responds saying, yes, it's true, my king. Toro cuts our celebration short saying,
"But you must leave. You cannot stay. You will still be persecuted after your freedom. The peoples of Magog have decided to attack you, and then you. This is the most I could do for you."
I ask, wait, where's Yue? I want to let her know I am not angry at her. The man left to Toro responds to me,
"Why would you be angry at my mother?"
I open my eyes in disbelief. The child of Yue. I told him how she confessed how she failed us, but I was never angry. And I thought maybe that's why she stopped meeting with my spies a long time ago. He tells me,
"Mother never really failed you. Mother assassinated over 3,000 of Kansas warriors, took their horse, and became the ruthless queen of Altai."
He was the mystery queen of Altai. and Toro, the mystery king of Balkai. I asked my brother Toro, "Why did you sabotage my people?" He says,
That's the story your spies got from Kansas warriors. But I sabotaged the supply roads because the merchants were replaced by invaders that tried to take over Siberia. Shandong and our brother Buryat with the Hazar Maveth and Hobab.
I get it now. We were being saved by Toro, rather than being sabotaged. Toro says,
Before you leave, as a favor, take Yang, Yue's son, to Shandong. And please take my son, Torouski, with you.
Torouski was just a young man, but he was almost as tall as Toro and Ken, only shorter by a head. We leave, and about 100,000 people of our tribes follow my warriors towards Danai. Some that come with us are of Kansas people. About a few dozen had yellow hair like the sun, although Ken himself wasn't this light in complexion as some of these young men. Ken's skin was dark. He had jet black long hair, but had blue eyes. Others born of peoples in between also come with us and are the majority. As we ride the horses, leading the tribes, now I get it. The real threat was Ken. He was the one who was still hunting me down and bringing in other hostile nations. He was camping with his warriors a few miles from Nanai's camp. Remember when I said some of Ken's warriors used to hunt megafauna with their bare hands? Well, this is them. Toro told us that the reason why the hunting grounds were being emptied was because of Ken's best warriors that are also his close friends that make Ken look small. Og, Gog, and Kurg, apart from his troops, who decimated the megafauna of Balkai. We dropped Yang with the peoples of our comrade Shandong. This was a great opportunity to get supplies there and prepare to leave right away. Yang would eventually hold the tallest family of the people of Shandong's clan. When we traveled back from the people of Shandong in close to a month's time, we couldn't find Yi. I was told Yi lost his child. I look into the sky and roar. I couldn't believe something like this happened to my loyal friend, even with all the preparations made for such scenarios not to occur. At this point, I haven't had any sleep in a whole day. I asked what had happened. Apparently, the children went fishing without supervision, and Yi's son was taken while the others managed to barely escape. They were deterred by somebody at the end. Taking a child from my clan means the same as taking a child from me. This couldn't have been my brother Toro, no. Only Ken. Og, Gog, and Kurg came to my mind. I go by foot towards the site near fishing waterholes. I instantly see the footprints. They were large, and I had never seen Og, nor Gog, or Kurg, but these footprints also lead towards the bigger glaciers, where the megafauna was headed to. I was able to find some samples of hair, and upon smelling it, many red flags were risen. Whatever this was, it smelled worse than Ken and a skunk combined. Ken can deter anybody with his foul scent alone, so this is saying a lot. Before I was able to think another thought and run towards the footprints out of impulse, Kamchatka shouts at me that Ken is at our door again. We get there in 15 minutes and my archers are doing their best to nullify the threat. It was Ken, Og, Gog, and Kurg. It was true. They were all at least 2 heads above Ken. But something was odd, and I had a strange gut feeling. I ordered them all to stop attacking Ken, but my soldiers remained uneasy. Ken and his men enter our camp, and the breeze hits them from west to northeast where I was. I could tell then and there it was not them. The scent was too different. I literally mean worlds apart. And Og, Gog, nor Kurg possessed red hair. In fact, their hair was rather curly, in contrast to whatever this silky straight red-haired stink devil was. But when they walk in front of me, I can tell by his posture he wanted to attack. My mental state at the time didn't let me see how my anger was blinding me, and I was placing everybody's lives in danger. But Ken's men seemed quite relaxed. I let things unfold, however. Ken strikes me with his dagger, just like that time in the past. Only that this time I grab his arm mid-strike. He gets angry and tries to free his arm from my grip, but he cannot. I don't let him move from that position for a good 10 minutes while I stare onto his soul. I ask him upon disrespecting my soil, "Do you not fear death?" Then I understood why were Ken's men so relaxed. They were overconfident as their muscles twitched to move to help Ken. Torouski, Uri, and Khan, my tallest men, and Kamchatka, Kai, and Tai, apprehend them. Gog looks at Ken telling him,
This mission was suicidal, Ken. They have men as big as you and even better than you.
Ken sees Kuba peek from a tent, and he calls her.
Kuba!
She hides again, making him angry. He gains further courage to lift his other hand at me. Uri dashes and strikes Ken in the throat with his elbow. Ken falls down to his knees coughing, and does something I had never seen him do before. He cries at Uri, telling him,
My son! I recognize you, my son!
To which Uri stands firm and says,
No.
Closing his eyes. Ken tells him,
My son!
and Uri repeats, screaming at Ken.
I said no!
I intervene and tell Ken, Uri is not your son. He's my son. Yi can be heard galloping towards us, screaming for Ken. His group ties Ken's hands, to which Yi runs towards Ken to attack him. Before he could reach Ken, I told Yi that it wasn't Ken. But Yi still runs and strikes Ken in the face, and continuously punches Ken in the face, while Ken just stares at Yi, taking the beating with the eyes of sadness. Ken broke down at that moment. Ken gave up anything that was holding him together to that point. Yi keeps beating Ken. I hold Yi and tell him, Yi, it wasn't him. I knew he knew it wasn't Ken. A man like Yi could tell by the scent alone. If not, Ken would have been dead from the first blow. Yi stops punching until Ken is unconscious. Ken's blood was everywhere. Yi looks at his bloody hands and begins to shake and cry to the sky, falling to the ground, saying, No, 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 no. I hold him as he breaks down, while I set my eyes onto the direction of the glaciers.